잡아달려 난 No lies, I'ma give it to you straight. Give me energy, energy. What you say, thumbs in a way. It doesn't even matter as.
Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we are here to take a look at XLOV's 1&Only. We got the music video and dance practice. I believe this is technically the first comeback that XLOV has had since their debut. And I know 3 out of the 4 much better now because I just finished watching Boys Planet Season 1. All that's on Patreon for you to dive into and binge away if you're like, Jess, we need to know. It's all there. So I'm very much looking forward to this. I don't know what to prepare for. I've heard many different things. I'm just seated, ready to go. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. I need you, baby, no rehab. Tell me so good. Can't wait for too much longer, baby, I'm a lover. The girls are happy 'cause I know you know.
Okay, ISOs. Whatever. Front walkover. Shh. It's got an afro staccato rhythm. He said, get away. Dance break, come on with the fire. The world is burning and they're like, we're living our lives. Oh man. They said, let me drop in a squat. Okay. I love it. They're like, let's just sit in cars and watch arson take place. I mean, why not, right? Wow. Yeah, what's interesting is just based on what I'm noticing here, which is why I waited for the dance practice, because I feel like this will get answered. The type of track, it definitely has like it's smooth, right? But also you have this dum 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 dum, which very similar to Afro. A lot of Afro beats, Afro tracks have that syncopation in the rhythm. So that's why a lot of times that type of cultural movement or that genre of choice in movement works very well. Here, it feels like we were diving a little bit more into a lot like a feminine posture. That still worked because of the type of syncopation that existed, but it didn't feel Afro. Do you know what I mean? Like we explored a different avenue, but still, had that kind of track and play, and it was very complimentary. So I'm curious about, like, as we're about to watch this dance practice here, what is it really going to look like? I'm ready! Can I just say I love the fact that they were able to have their logo there.
Yeah, yeah, I need ya. Baby, no rehab, until it's so good. Can't wait for too much longer. Baby, I'm a lover. Ooh, the girls are happy 'cause I know you know
The ISO for the hips is really fun there.
what you wanna do. Float away.
Okay.
Up in the clouds, we're in the clouds.
God, freaking front walk over while singing. Flexibility on the shoulders is so captivating too. Yeah, tension. Yep. Yeah! Yeah to that! Oh, it's so subtle, but I really liked that. And they turned it! Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad I waited for the dance practice. This is so fun! Ah, like they're shaking margaritas. Good timing. She has to stretch her shoulders to go for this. Oh, yeah. 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 Woo! Oh, man. This is a fantastically structured group of 4 choreo. Wow. Oh man, every time they entertained overlapping lyrics, meaning that it was a repeat of a lyric, it was entertained something similar than what was introduced the first time, but they switched it up. Like it was very clear and intentional. That was really well done in composition. Wow! That was really nice because it didn't look out of place. They matched the track very well because sometimes things can look really awkward with certain syncopations and certain postural explorations, and it doesn't matter whether you're guy, girl, whatever, right? It has to deal with what your movement quality has been exposed to and what you grew up learning, right? So if you're used to having a flow and you're used to utilizing certain arches or certain concave, contracting, you're used to where your weight's going when you dive into a different style, it's a new movement language, right? So here the fact is, I've seen them be able to do 3 out of the 4 at least, be able to do like heavily masculine based choreography. I've seen them do very sensual choreography, but more on like I'm not gonna say like Magic Mike, no, but not in the way that we're seeing it here. Does that make sense? Like the sensual doesn't surprise me. It's serving for sure, but it's approached in a way that matches their tones, which is why it works really, really well. Because their tones it like sings and rides in a really interesting way, doesn't it? Ooh, I'm excited to talk about this. All right, from the top. Okay. So from the jump, we have a trace traveling up the thigh, and we have the head and creating tension, moving around. So it is like a super, super subtle polyrhythm, but it is, because you have one motion and action going where this is a completely different rotation. Even if they're entertaining the same pull of tension, the rotations and what we're exploring are different. And it can be really trippy for people because this isn't technically crossing over the head, it's supposed to stay in place. So it's really nice. They accent it out and then we double it. So a lot of timing manipulations happening in this, which is really nice because we see even in this case here, whenever we're taking the head, it's taking twice the amount of time. We accent and then we double up to get us reset to explore something different. It feels satisfying, and it also feels, hey, we are choosing to do this slow. We can speed it up and still be just as clean. It's a really nice way of still introducing something familiar to your audience, but showcase your ability to be complex through timing. It's pockets, different pockets explored is what it also can be called. Then they end up doing it and they double it. So they went tension, slow, then they reversed it somewhat, and then they ended up doubling through speed, which is really nice. Then you already have different directions on this. We're sliding it back. Really nice clean line coming out of this too. We accented up the double. It was more of the heels for that is what made it work. Bring it to the inside. Then we hit, boom, with the head is really nice. Then from there, they did a really good job of keeping the fingertips connected and not letting that move too much, even though we have our body moving away from the arm. That would be considered a fixed point because of that shoulder coming into play, moving in opposition to make sure this arm doesn't get affected. So that's cool. They body roll through, and then they pop and pop the hip. Now, here's the real question in all of this, because sometimes whenever you're seeing a lot of like hips in choreography, you think about what is the accent point? Are you using your back? Are you using your actual hip? Are you using your bottom? Are you using your legs? Are you using your feet? Like it just depends on what it is. Like for Twyla's water, you use the legs to make the hips do what they need to do, right? Not the hips, because you'd be forcing it too much for what it is, right? So that's why in this case here, I'm considering it more in the lines of this is isolation, so we are really factoring in the direction of our hips and our pelvis, right? So that's really cool. So they hit it out. Do notice that we sent it up, but we are letting the legs provide some level difference on this, where they're shoving that hip up to the corner and resetting it down. Oh, love me a good eye contact. Only one showing me eye contact. That's going to be my feature, right? He pulls and they sweep it around. And I like that we're connected here too. We're facing down. And then it looks like we were using our chest to come up, but I'm not sure. No, shoulder. We're going to go shoulder on that. Then we have, it looks like our outside leg has all of our weight, so our inside leg could do what we needed to do. We have our supports right here in the middle. And then we accent nice and full. Because our weight's on this left side, we're able to send up a lot of energy on the right side because we have a place to start. And then we let it go, and it goes into a ripple in the middle of a phrase. So it's really interesting how clear you can see our dynamics come into play because we're not entertaining basic phrases to start them, meaning we're not starting on the 1. We're not starting on the 5. We're starting on a 6. Or we're starting where, even though we are still entertaining a feature moment, it's starting and initiating in the middle of a phrase going into the next feature. It's just really nice. I appreciate that. That is what can enhance your routine to be complex, even if you're not showcasing complex techniques, right? But then, of course, you're gonna have Rui right here about to do a freaking front walkover. It makes me so mad. That's so cool. Anyway, so I like this reverbed, rigid choice as we hinge it back on this bass. It's interesting. We drop it down, hit, and it goes back into the front. And then we said, we popping it like it's hot to the floor. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I could do that as well as they can. Live your life. So they end up doing it 3 times, and then we press into it. It's, oh, hold on. Guys, this is impressive. Goodness, because we're not starting standing, so we don't have all that momentum. We have to work, as I would very safely assume it can be pretty tricky, a little bit harder to go from the floor into a front walkover in comparison to standing because of the momentum going to the ground, to the kick. In comparison to on the ground, you're already there. It's half of the momentum that you're working with. So you have to really compensate it with your legs. Good for him. He's able to do it, and he is still singing. whatever, pointed feet. Come on, thank you. So they hold, but the finish is nice, and I like that we have a little trace around the head is nice. Then it looks like we hit it up, wrist rotation down, so we interchange just a subtle overhead. Just more so, not even like, we're not truly going about it in a whacking sense at all. It definitely just feels like we had a position and we're wrist rolling it down, which is nice. So we hit it down. I like how we hit dana, dana, and then come on with the shoulders. Reason why I'm very impressed by their shoulders is because your traps gotta be loose. They can't be super, super tight like mine are, because you're going to feel it right here. You're also going to feel it right here. So the fact that they're able to very clearly show this line, all 4 of them, they get a thumbs up for that. That's great. So I also like how we have our first feature come up, 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 and then we go head, like, oh, what? Oh, whatever. God, it's so good. Anyway, and then we do a hip on that as well, and then we frame the face. We accented it out. I like the arms presenting up, rotating it through. So a lot of different arm positions were mirrored. They're balanced. It helps keep your feature featured, but also helps seamlessly transition to get a partner involved there too. I like the call. We have a lot of hips still involved. That standing leg that doesn't have that hip moving is where most of your weight's going to be. So you can have this move and syncopate how you choose. It's just easier there, and it doesn't look as grounded either in both legs. So it's good to have weight in one of your legs to make that give the look that you want. And everyone's making the same choice, which helps in the overall cohesion of the group. So the dips into that is really nice, and then we end up swinging the arms and crisscrossing it is also really nice. It's so nice because they maintained spacing while they did it. That's what made that so captivating, and their range was very, very clean there. So the only thing that I could give as a potential note or a sense of awareness for the group as a whole is specifically with Haru. So Haru can go so full. Rui as well. Goodness, R-U-I. This is Rui here, right? And that's Wumuti, right? And then that's Haru. Haru can go really, really full on isos and going in really adding an extra punch. When he's featured, that works very well, but when he's going in unison, specifically the first time that I really noticed it, I wanted to touch on Rui first. Oh, it's this extra rigidness that we saw with this rebound. So watch how Haru does it. Like, it's really nice and full, and of course you have Wumuti match, but because not everybody's able to hit to the same degree, it's just something to have a sense of awareness on, where if we're going really, really full and not everybody's matching the degree of fullness on it, that can affect how it's balanced. And then the opposite can be true with Hyun, because if Hyun is not holding or showcasing the way 2 out of the 3, including him, would be, then he may be able to stick out not in the best way. Because if you're all wanting to reverb like that, but not all of you are, 2 out of 3 of you are, and it's not like in every other situation. If he was in center, it'd be a little bit more passable, but because these 2 were next to each other and he's not, of course you have a captivating element over here that can mess with the balance that's happening here, right? When it comes to the dynamic that you're choosing to go with. Once again, these are not critiques. It's not a competition. Been there, done that, right? This is more of a just awareness. If somebody brings it up, that could be why. That's the component that I'm noticing here in all of it, is they vibe really well together. I love it. It's great. That's just the only thing that I can see as a potential, just be aware of. If someone's like, oh, Haru's doing too much, I think it just depends, like 1 or 2 moments in the entire routine where I'm like, oh, Haru really went for it, and he wasn't featured there. So that's why it kind of takes you aback when somebody goes really full and they're not supposed to be viewed like as drawing your attention when you're supposed to be focusing on the feature. That's why we want to be mindful of those things. Anyway, but so far, it's fine. So, this here too. But because he's feature, it's fine. Everyone's scooping back. He's adding a syncopated boom accent to the front with his pelvis. So watch, right here. Yeah, so he accents it up just as much as the pushback, but everybody else sways, figure 8. But he's in the middle, which is why that, to me, it's absolutely fine. Now, if he was doing it like that and somebody else was in the middle, that would be more of a higher chance of it being a note, like I said earlier, when he wasn't the feature in that moment. Anyway, moving on. But that was really fun. He hits it, sends it out. They take the trace around down the side with the head rotation, and then we trace, whoom, and then we send it down, and then we pull, heel. So heel is also really nice. I like the positioning of the arms. They sway here, good position and hold. So I like that, boom, energy, 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 energy. So we're going to end up seeing that kind of call response a little bit later. That was a really cool timing moment. It's just timing stuff. It's really, really makes this very captivating. So G, energy, G, energy. So notice with the lift up, the leg is straight, and I'm trying to think, whenever I do it, boom. You're placing your weight on that back leg, and you're pushing as an iso with the hip to lift up and down. Even though the hip's the focal point, you got to lift the leg to make it happen, right? Because they're lifting the leg, and that helps create this extra rigidness, and I like the lift up. Notice with Rui, he has an extra, like a really, really loud arch. That's why it reads different than if we have with Hyun, not as big of an arch. So, am I asking them to look the exact same? No. I'm just observing differences of how our posture is shaping that can influence how the move comes across collectively. Uniformity, you want it to be clean, but it doesn't have to be squeaky clean, especially on tracks and concepts like this group's exploring. You don't really need to, because the goal is to showcase individuality. That I understand. It's more so specifically when I was talking about was about whenever you want to make sure the right people are in the spotlight at the right time, and you want your audience to have an easy time being able to navigate through your entire routine. And those can be little instances that can affect the overall viewing experience for making sure every member gets the love that they deserve, right? XLOV. So, and also too, if you know, look back to how I responded watching this dance practice. Everything I'm talking about doesn't in any way, shape, or form shape how I feel about the dance. It's just thoughts that we're doing in the analysis portion, right? Anyway, so it's really nice there. So we travel it through. So I like that Wumuti keeps his arms up. Everybody else travels them down. Easy way for us to see him as a feature here. Now we're in a diagonal, opposite arms. And then bring it out, and then we hit it, and then this part, 1, 2, energy, 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 call and response, come on, love it, and then it goes, boom, what you say, head goes out, and they go and they nod it, and he keeps it looking forward, so they travel over. I like the swing of the arms. Yeah, notice that we were using more of the foot to help make the hips happen there, and the travel down, stylized hands. And then they pop it, and then they drop it low, and then different directions. It says you're turning me on, right? Oh, turning it up. But they turned the body from the front to their respective front, which is to their back, and then they shifted it. That was so satisfying on what's being said to what they were doing. That was cool. And then they're still going, which we love. Oh, see, did it get stuck? It did. Let's see if my reload works. There it is. You have this pointing to the mouth, helps us hear it pretty clearly there. And he says, we're finna turn it up. We're turning it. That reminds me of the everything's gnarly. Here we go. So now it looks like we are creating a really interesting shape, right? With Umati. He's talking about Mona Lisa, so I'm giving the impression that it feels like we are creating a frame, right? Very angular, and I like the folds on that, and then we accent, and then we wrist rotation, body roll in, and then we accent with the knees, we bring it up, and we hit it margarita, and it's like we're shaking a margarita, right? And then we hit, which is also nice, and then he goes pop, pop, pop. The reason why that wasn't as big was because we're not using the legs. We were isolating from the hips, so that's why. And the reason why, even as somebody, I'm not an active practitioner of I call it the water movement of the pop, 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 pop in the back, with the water bottle. I can admire it for sure as in being a really good technician of being able to utilize your lower body like that. But that is something that I was seeing a lot of notes on when people were commentating on that type of movement style. And when you look at how Tyla does it versus whenever you see other people who are very isolated in doing it, that's a key difference, is your weight and your legs. Like how your weight is with the pickup of the legs allows for the movement to actually be successful and to syncopate intentionally. And then of course, when you have an Afrobeat influence like this, that's also why we can entertain certain technical just awarenesses, because there's other contexts that exist that kind of can shape the headspace to reflect in that way. So anyway, but I like the shake. So we have Haru, he goes, he turns, he has push and push with the head knock. Then we reach, and then he goes reach and a hit, high, low. And then we go with the hips side, and then we drop it low. Notice timing's different. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And it's not a huge figure 8, but it's really subtle. And then so fire, boom, boom, out, in. And we go shake, shake, body else. We drop low, pick up on the leg. Come on now. And we lift up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have Hyun. He stays higher. Everybody else still is a little bit more hinged over, so we see a clear difference in level. Then we change the timing. Da na na na, 7 and 8, and 1, 2, da 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 da. Now that was a bleed through where he had his arms up. Everybody else is twinkling over the eyes, and then we hit it, boom, to reverse it to the other side, and then we sink it down to the side, which is really nice. And then they take it. I love the speed change of that overhead. Come on, watch. 1. Yes. Bum, da-dun, dun. They made it match the boom, da-dun, doom. I would live to see more of that forever. God, it's so cool. And then it's the same choreo that we saw before. Good for the fight of the line. That right there. I'm right there with Haru. Your girl, I'm not getting it past right here today. I'm going to need to go see a massage therapist, get that mess figured out before I can entertain that kind of line. Let's go. With the hip. Dun, dun, dun. I think we went high, too low. Boom, brum. I think we're trying to hit that brum sound, so maybe 3. So they hit it over. I like the swing of the arms. So now it's my other 2 members are doing the hello with the hips. Then we do with the sway, and then we have the hips. So you see what I mean? Like, ooh, hold on. Let's check this. It's more subtle there. It wasn't as loud in the hits to the front like it was during Haru's feature moment, which is why it totally passes, because I truly believe, because Haru was in front for that moment for his feature, that's why it was able to go so big. It's because he's featured. Let him be featured. But now he's not the feature. I can see he is actively not pushing it there because he's not featured there, and he doesn't need to get noticed in that way because nobody else is doing it to that degree, right? So that's cool. And then swing and the head, boom, boom. We have our arms with the neck around, and then we do tension with the hips and the lift up, heel, toe, heel. And then we have the rhythm, tap, bend, energy. And then I like that we're ending up slowly traveling it back, so it's opening up the body more. And we lift it up, boom, pull it in. Nice. Then we're in the diagonal. Now it's balanced because we're entertaining the angle the other way. We love it. Give it to you straight. So now he goes really, really tense. Energy. And it travels it through. And then they're ending up bouncing out of it too. Head. And then go head. So it's the exact same thing, but it feels different because some of our textures that we're introducing are different because of the tone in the person, which is nice. And we run. Tap, tap, tap. And we go accent high, low. He stays low. And then turning it up, right? And then we have how to travel through. Come on, feature. Tap, tap. I love the flow and the finish of that is really nice. Come on, little barrel jump. Hit. Come on, with the hips. Boom. But that was very, very isolated. And we were looking down. They're like, we know. Goodness. I love that part, too. It's really just like how we're pleating our phrases. It's so cool. So we're here. Hit. Boom. Stop it. That's so cool. And that part, golly, and then we do, it's like a subtle snaky little body roll to get us switched off. And then we take our arm in, out, up, and then they switch it. They have a little call. They're like, oh, hi. And they have another body roll. They're all matching that very well. And having Haru in the middle there is very smart for the very similar reasons that I said before. We love it. Cool. And then we travel it up. Notice that looked more full and clear. Why? We were using the leg. Boom, boom, boom to make that happen. They look through, and I like the switch there. 1, 2, and a nice little add-on. And then nice, and we're holding it, not moving too much. We're our stationary choice, Wumiti chose to do, having everybody else move around continues to make him feature because he's the oddball out, right? It's cool. They clap out of it, clap to the rhythm, switch, pick up the leg, and then we take it around. Now here, Haru is now in the front and centered and singing this. So why is he popping off? Because he can, because he is front and center. So I guess, if anything, what I was noticing were his feature moments, which I think is absolutely fine. And whenever I would see him do those same movements when somebody else was featured, I saw the conscious effort. So that's why what I said in the beginning of being mindful, I think they're already being mindful, which is why it's nice to do an analysis, because it is something it's good to always have on your radar. But I also am totally fine with saying I see an active effort happening here, which already sets the group up for more long-term success when it comes to cohesion and just synergy that you experience, which is nice. The switch is nice. And then we travel through, swing and a swing through the phrase. Nice. Lift the arms up, and then we have our arms open, nice little reveal, and then we sit into it, and then it goes double up, and then we sit into it. And then it goes, give me energy. So it's a 1 and a 2. And then we're using our shoulder. 5, 6. Boom. And tap, tap. Now that's really nice. With the tap, tap and the sway, really being able to use the flexibility as a captivating moment is a vibe. Now, that could be the case too, is who's featured here? Hyun's feature. Yes, he's in center, but because the captivating element of this would be Rui's squat, that's the only downside we could probably face with this, is it's really hard to focus on Hyun because of the flexibility, right? But also, it's still a really cool element. Do I also think it would have been interesting? Because whenever you're thinking about multiple levels, so you have 3 levels in play here. We have high, mid, low. My gut tells me we were supposed to go, everybody is standing, and then we have one that's squatted. That's what my gut says. But because of heights, what could have been helpful is if both in the middle line squatted a little bit more, so the range, or the distance between Rui's head and their heads were the same as the distance between their heads and Hyun's head. And that's, I literally yesterday, when I was setting choreography for just like a junior large group, I have 3 tiers in a level, I have 3 levels in play, and they're all doing the same thing. And that was the note I gave the middle line, because they have to squat, and it's hard on the legs. And I said, look, you have to fight for it, because we don't want you too close to one or the other lines. You have to be in your own line so we can appreciate the full picture. So it's nice to just be aware of that. This still reads mighty fine. Could that have been an option pursued? Maybe. Do they need it? No, I don't think so. And they move, and they swing the arms, tap, tap, tap down, and then they go, they accent, hit, and they drop, and it goes, turning me, instead of keeping the legs. I think it was what? La, 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 moment, love, 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 as it's turning, right here. Da-da-da, turn. Yeah, so they keep their legs straight the first time, they bend it to the ground the second time, and they trace it, and they finish low. It's like the repackaging of that. Turning, they did the turn. They've done it 3 times. First time was the straight leg. Second time, they didn't do the turn. They did something different. And the third time, they did turn it, but they went to the floor. I love that. Love that! Because it's cool. It makes you just appreciate it every time. That was really, really cool. They're like, we're done! Boom. They're like, woo, we're done. Good for them. Wow. Yeah, this was very captivating, and I'm glad that this exists for us to be able to dive into. And I love that we get to see people who've participated on Boys Planet be able to be in a group and thrive in the group, and for the group to have a really good case of cohesion of concept. Like they dive into it well, and they're committed to it. So that's why I think it's really helpful for me to watch. And what's interesting too is I'm currently marathoning Zero Base 1, and the difference is Zero Base 1 I'm watching as a result of Boys Planet. I was aware of them before I knew they were on Boys Planet. So that's why I don't view them in the same vein as what I'm noticing with Zero Base 1, where it feels like I'm still watching them from the show. Here, I've always associated them outside of it. So that's very interesting, right? But all that to say, everything that I've seen, I mean, this is the second thing I've seen from XLOV. This is a really, really dope avenue that they're going down, because it's standing out in an interesting way, because a lot of people, a lot of groups don't have the group as a whole be able to hold down this type of movement quality effectively. But the fact is they can, which actually helps it helps them market a little bit better, which is kind of dope. So I'm excited to hear from you guys. What were your thoughts? Out of the two tracks, which one's your preference? I think both have some really cool elements in it. I really appreciated the timing manipulation of this one with some of our choices, was really cool. You guys know me, I know you. I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.